This is Barry Eisler talking about my new novel, Inside Out, available from Ballantine and Random House Audio on June 29th. This has been a blast.
What made you decide to write this book?
I think what made me decide to write this book was a perfect storm of my interest in thrillers and my interest in politics. I'm pretty obsessed with reading and blogging about torture, human rights issues, civil liberties, the rule of law in America, the way the media launders government propaganda and turns it into what people think is news. And all those political interests provided perfect fodder for a thriller. This is my 8th thriller, and of all the books I've written, this is the one that most perfectly blends my interest in fiction and my interest in nonfiction.
What do you think makes this book particularly timely right now? What's important about the timing of this book?
I think what makes this book particularly timely first is what got it started. Those 92 missing CIA interrogation videotapes. Back in December 2007, I read this article in the New York Times where the CIA had acknowledged making and then destroying just a handful of videotapes of the interrogations they'd conducted on war on terror suspects. They were vague about the number, but it was 2 or maybe 3 tapes. And then 15 months later, in March 2009, there was another New York Times report. This time the CIA said, essentially, oh, did we say it was only 2 or 3 tapes? Sorry, it was actually 92. But they're all destroyed, nothing to worry about. Those events are what really got me thinking about this story, and the book itself starts with a prologue that is the explanation for what really happened to those tapes. Because if you think about it, I mean, this is a gigantic mystery. Why did the CIA make those tapes? Or at least, the one thing we know is that they claimed to have made them and destroyed them. And they initially claimed it was only 2 or 3, and then they claimed it was more like that it was 92. Why would they acknowledge making those tapes? Why would they acknowledge destroying them? Why would they change the number? There has to be an explanation, and this book provides one. So, for that reason, it's certainly timely. And then all the related issues that are addressed in the book. Torture, of course, Guantanamo, black sites, renditions, ghost detainees. All these items that are at the heart of political controversy in America today, and that will define us. The way we deal with these issues will define us as a nation going forward. They're all at the heart of the book as well.
Is there one thing that you hope a reader will take away from having read or listened to this book?
It's hard for me to identify one thing that I hope a reader would take away from this book, because there are actually quite a few. But because it's a novel, what's most important, and if I haven't done this, then I've failed overall, is the reader has to be entertained. I mean, I want you to be transported from your world and into the world of this book. Forget about the politics for the moment. I think they're important, and without them, the story wouldn't work. But if you don't get transported into another world for however much time you're in this book, then I haven't done my job. So at a minimum, you have to have that, call it whatever you want, entertainment value. You have to be transported, whatever it is. If I had to choose just one thing, I guess that's what it would be. But if I succeed in that, and I hope I have, I hope also readers will come away with some insights into the way the government and the media and other elements of what one of the characters in the books calls the American oligarchy really work. I'm not making this stuff up. Or as a friend of mine said, you really believe in this oligarchy thing? And the answer is, of course I believe in it. It's not a question of do you believe in it like you believe in Santa Claus or do you believe in God or whatever. It exists. We call it the establishment. That's our polite word for it. When we see it in another country like Russia, we call it an oligarchy. But it certainly exists. It's just a combination of interests in America. Political interests, military, media, and financial interests that find it more to their advantage to cooperate than to compete. It's an informal arrangement, as the character, as Hort, one of my characters, says. There are no secret handshakes. It's mostly just understandings. So once we've secured that sort of entertainment value that I'm talking about, I hope people will look at the American establishment, the way of doing things in America, with a fresh set of eyes. That would be gratifying to me.
Would you like to be considered more a political writer, or a thriller writer, or just a novelist that happens to use these particular subjects?
It's a really good question about how I would want to be considered as a novelist, or as a political writer, or as a political novelist. I should really have a good answer, because my brand, I guess, is going to depend on it. I think in terms of my day job, it's probably important that I'm considered foremost as a novelist, as a writer of fine, entertaining, edge of your seat, can't put them down thrillers, which immodestly, naturally, I think I am. But I'm pretty big on the notion that we should all be doing what we can to make the world a better place. And what I do is I write novels. I blog and I'm active in other ways, but primarily what I do is I write novels. And so if I can make whatever contribution I can to make the world a better place through my novels, that's really satisfying for me. So I guess I hope people think of me as a novelist. If they don't, they probably won't buy my novels, and I'll have to find another way to make a living. Maybe it's a voice talent. I probably should stick with novels. But at the same time, I really hope that a lot has gone wrong in America in the last decade. Torture is now supported by over half of Americans, if you believe the polls. And that's not the America that I've always thought of as America. I've always thought that what defines America is an adherence to the rule of law, to the Constitution, and to certain values having to do with human rights and human dignity. We've lost sight of a lot of those principles in the last decade. And if I can do some small thing through my novels to make Americans aware of what we've lost and how what we've lost has actually, tragically, put us in greater physical danger, then I feel very satisfied about that. I hope I can do that in addition to entertaining people. Well, I have to say it was really fun to do this audio recording. I had some idea what to expect because I listen to a lot of books on tape and I love them. And I knew it would be tiring, but really if you do something like this, it gives you an even deeper level of appreciation for people who record books for a living. It's really tiring to focus this much and to read something like this. But at the same time, it was a blast. I had a great director, Fred Sanders, and everyone here at Random House Books has been really nice. Gourmet food for lunch, and it was just great. I hope I'll be able to do it again next year.